So I'm Diana Gray. I'm the Community Marketing Manager for UiPath for the Americas. And today on the phone, we have Priya Darshini and Tracy Dixon. Priya and Tracy are both four-time UiPath MVPs. So happy to have them present today. And I will let you get going. Thank you.
All right, so I'm up first. So we're talking about Studio X today. But first we should get into citizen development a bit, because Studio X is really aimed at the citizen developers. I figured I would make sure we're all on the same page about what that means. So citizen developers are typically on the business side. You don't have to be technical, although you could be. And you want to be able to improve your own processes, spend less time doing, boring tasks at work, like, coming up with that report every week, things like that. So citizen developers are those that learn the basics of automation and use the automation tool set in order to make those processes easier for themselves and hopefully automate them where they can get that time back. So citizen developers typically are able to at least build some basic automations, automate various tasks that you're interested in. Not that you can't also automate with the full technical tool set. You're not limited. Anybody can go out and learn all of the things. You're only limited by how far you want to go with it. So you'll be using the tools, the UiPath Assistant, which is something that has a little play button where you can run tasks at any time. Studio X, which is what we're focused on today, that's the environment where you drag and drop activities and configure them in order to complete those automations. And then Automation Hub is a place that you can store information related to your automations. And please feel free to stop us at any time with questions. I'm not sure if there's full audio or not. If you're welcome to speak, if you're able to. And then this deck will be made available after we speak today. So first off, what is UiPath Studio X? It is the business side of the development environment for automations. Everyone has it built in. If you've installed Studio or Studio X, both are part of that installation, and we'll show you a little bit more about that. And it has a number of basic activities that help you to figure out how to automate those tasks. We'll go into more of that too. And there are a whole lot of templates out there that can make it really easy to get started, so you don't have to come up with things from scratch on your own. So in order to, well, there we go. In order to install, you'll want to go to, if you don't already have an Automation Cloud account, everyone gets one for free. There's no charge to use Studio X or Studio either way, but you'll want to make sure to create an account and then download Studio X. You may see it just as Studio either way. You'll see something after clicking next and going through a few things. You'll see a choice in the tool set here under settings, license and profile. So if you've already got Studio installed, Studio X is there, and it's just a matter of going to that profile and then changing from Studio to Studio X. You can go back and forth with this. It is important to know that you can take a Studio X automation that you've built and you can use it in Studio, but you can't take the reverse route and go from Studio to Studio X. So once you've used Studio with a tool, it will need to remain in Studio in case you were thinking of trying it a couple of different ways. So you want to make sure to choose the Studio X profile. And then that gives you what we were seeing on screen before, which is a lot of different templates that can get you started. And for those of you that are signing up, if you do not have ability to install on your local machine with your work account, if you happen to sign up with your work account, then you'll probably want to sign up with a personal account instead, or ask that your work installs the tool for you. But you have the ability to use a personal email as well in case you want to get things installed on another machine where you do have the rights to install. All right, so what does Studio X do? You guys could see a pretty decent variety from the templates that were on the screen, but there's a lot out there that you can do with very little technical knowledge. So there are a lot of activities around the whole productivity suite. So you'll see a whole lot of Microsoft Office activities, Outlook 365, those types of things. You'll also see them for the other platforms like Google Workspace, and a number of activities related to Gmail, to Google Sheets, so on. There's a project notebook related to each of the projects that helps you to put specific information in there about the automation, so you don't have to rebuild if something that is changeable, like your email address or a file path, that type of thing. You always want to put that changeable information in there, so you don't have to go into the development environment and rebuild when one of those pieces that may change does change. And then you have some limited scheduling ability for running Studio X, so you can schedule that. And then you also have the assistant that we talked about before, where you can get an automation started on the fly whenever you need it, an unscheduled one that you have there, which may be something that assists you with a task, or maybe requires you to put in some information. And then you guys have seen the templates to talk about scenarios, and Priya's going to show you a little bit more about those, show you an example of what you can do with Studio X. And then there's built-in error handling. That can be one of the more complicated pieces of automation. So there's a lot that's already built in there, so you don't have to know a whole lot about how to handle errors specifically. All right, we've gone through this already. If any of you need this information again, or are installing anything and need assistance with that, we've got enough time in the session. We're happy to help with that. Sometimes installation can be more difficult than doing the automations themselves, which are usually pretty simple. Right, and then Priya will get more into this, but as she's talking, there are three main panels that are part of Studio X. The activities panel, which you see the search feature up at the top. You can type in the type of thing that you're looking for, and that will limit the activities that you see, so you can figure out exactly the right one for what you're wanting to do. The designer panel is there in the middle. That's where you'll drag and drop things, and that shows the set of procedures in order that your automation will follow. And then properties are on the right, which is where you'll configure information about those. So say you drag across an Excel activity, you might want to indicate the path for where that Excel file may be, that type of thing. And so you configure all of that there on the right-hand side. And then we'll cover this several times, but we don't want anybody to be stuck on anything. So Priya and I are always available. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn or the community forums. Either way, there's lots of material on learning more about Studio X, a whole pathway where you can learn all kinds of things about how to build automations, and it takes you through a progression of what you're doing, so you can build up your knowledge there. And then folks are always available on the forum and in the community. There, I'm sure there are additional sessions on Studio X. So if you do get stuck on something or have a question, make sure you reach out there. There are lots of helpful people that make sure questions are answered and that everyone has been responded to. There's also the community Slack forum, and I'll paste that in the chat soon, where you can reach out and sometimes get an immediate answer via chat from somebody that may be able to help. All right, Priya, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. And I'm gonna try and share my screen. Okay. All right, hope you guys can see my screen. I'm trying to set this up. So hopefully everybody's got their installations down. But if you are having any challenges, I would just say like just go to the automation cloud, and it's very simple to sign up. So just use any of your, for this one, I'm just going to sign out so that I'll take you through just the login process as well. So if any of you have any specific accounts that you'd like to, like Tracy was saying, if you have like admin issues and if you want to still learn using your personal accounts, you could still do that. So just go to your personal laptop and sign up using your personal account, or if you want to use your company's single sign-on, you could still do that. Or if you want to use the Microsoft, or even if with your email and password, you could still do that. So that allows you right there. And once you sign in, you're just going to give an organization name, and instantly you're going to get access to the automation cloud portal. And this is just a simple name that you will give for your organization. And don't worry, that's just your organization name. Once you land here, then on the right-hand side, like you would see the download button. So when Tracy was mentioning about the download, it's very simple. Just like she said, it's a very straightforward process where all you have to do is just follow through the steps, and in less than 10 minutes, you will have your studio downloaded. And what happens is, once you download the Studio and the Studio X, it's like one installer that gives you access to both Studio and Studio X. And you can switch between these profiles very easily. And it also installs the robot, which is the UiPath assistant. So as soon as we install this, I'm just going to try and move these. Sorry, the Zoom controls are messing with my controls here. I hope you can see my screen. So first off, I'm just going to, there's too many things going on. So
Yep.
as soon as
Priya, I can see your screen.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
This is just a lot of things in the way. Okay. So as soon as you download the studio, like you would see the S symbol, this is your shortcut for your studio. And this purple icon, that is the UiPath assistant. So the very first time it's going to ask you to connect to your automation cloud portal. So since you're already like, signed up and you already have an account, that's how you were able to download, right? So you should be able to have this green light over here, which means like you've got it like connected and it's licensed and there are no issues. But if you have like any other color other than green, then please like troubleshoot that. Like there might be like slight license issues, or you might be offline. So if it says like sign in, just click on the sign in and it's going to take you back to the automation cloud portal. Okay, so that's as simple as that. And this is what Tracy was showing. So if you ever want to switch your profiles, and if you accidentally like chose Studio first and you want to switch to the Studio X, you can tell the difference by the colors. The Studio is like a darker blue, like a deep blue, and this one is more of a teal. So if you're in a deeper blue and you don't know how to switch profiles, so just come to settings, license and profile, and say change profiles, and you can like come to switch between those. So if you're on Studio and you want to get to Studio X, you can just click this and it will switch you back. And the next thing would be also like this gives you the option for light or dark options. So if you want lighter on the eyes, like it's always easier. And here are the 300 plus activities, what Tracy showed you in the activities panel. This is the designer panel. And here's your data manager. So instead, I think earlier it was, we used to have the properties panel, but now they've also added the data manager, which gives you access to all the different data. So here's the properties panel for each activity. So for each specific activity, you can set up like specific name or like, any kind of configurations that you want to do for that activity. It's going to be available with the properties panel. Okay. I'm going to show you a very simple demo that's built on like a very simple website that's going to generate the passwords for us. Okay, so I'm going to hit run and look at the demo, and I'll take you down through the walkthrough. Okay, as you can see, when the robot runs, you would see this green icon in the bottom that just pops up telling you that the robot is actually running. So what it did was hands off, I'm not doing anything. It's a robot that's running it. So it opened up that rpasamples.com password generator. And from there on, it's trying to create a new password and copy that password for you. So now with this copied functionality, you can take this password and apply it to wherever that you would like to apply. So that's a very simple demo. So in order to build that, all that was used was a very simple set of activities. So all they did was, in order to access that website, they used the browser activity, which is the use browser. And in there, we will specify the URL of the website that we want to access. As soon as you specify that, the next thing that they did was specify the password length. And once you specify the password length, then it said like check on the symbols. And then it copied that password. And immediately, if you want to display, like you can use the message box. So just like that, you can actually like access any number of activities. Let's say like click, if you want to click on anything, you can access it here. And if you want to type into, and these activities are pretty much named in like simple English. So think of like, what are the steps that you want to do? So what is it that you want the robot to do? That specific step will be available as an activity. So always look it up. And if you have any doubts on like what are the different activities that are available, I would say look it up on, let me show you. If you go to docs.uipath.com, like this is the documentation portal for UiPath, like all the different products that are available within the entire UiPath platform are available here. And we can always go to the activities one, and you can actually look up like each and every specific activity and like what are its specific use cases, like how do you use the properties, how do you allocate them. So all of that can be available in this docs.uipath.com. So that's the the official documentation. And here under the data manager, this is what Tracy was explaining earlier, where the resources, like you can have like a one document, the project notebook, where you can save any specific like configurations or variables that like that will change over time, or you want to control it, you can specify that. And here it gives you like options of like looking at all the different variables that are available for your process so far. And whatever processes that I currently have within my UiPath assistant, currently I just have a simple process called crypto extract. And that is the process that is available underneath the processes. Okay. And since I'm connected to my local workspace, here's another thing where you need to know that like you can check like which folder that you are connected to within the orchestrator. So I can switch between different folders. I'm currently using my own workspace. And that is the workspace that contains all these assets. So any of these connections that you have access to, that specific folders, assets, queues, and all the different configurations will be available to you in this data manager. Any questions so far? Okay.
AJ, you came off mute. Did you have a question? Oh, maybe not.
Sorry, I was trying to type out. Thanks, Priya, and thanks, Tracy. Amazing. And hi, Dana. How are you? My quick question, Priya was explaining that moving out. I actually have attended. I did it my own, my side, and that was my first time using Studio X that through the group. So how do you move from your Gmail to the official email? Do you from this current workspace to another workspace?
So you mean like you want to move like everything like UiPath related to your official email?
Correct. Correct.
So in that case, I would say like it's a transition on the automation cloud portal itself.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to like immediately move all the processes. You can possibly do like a local download. And as long as like you have your studio connected, we can always connect it back to the other account as well. So I would say like you just have to sign out and like connect back to your official email, and then like just go back to Studio, and then once you go to Studio, before you connect, I would say connect to your official one and open up this Studio X, like the process that you have built, and just publish again. So that way, like you have like the published feeds in both the areas.
Okay.
Okay.
The reason I ask you is
Mhm.
I have a different computers, I have so much stuff in my personal and so much in my official.
Okay.
I'm more comfortable using my own personal because it's a big one. So I'm creating right now, I'm helping out my team to pick out the leads and, concentrate on the main things and all that. So I keep on working on using Studio X for that. So what I was thinking is, I pick up it from my personal and put it on my official, take it to my official, and that's where I can use it. That's the reason I said, okay, how can we move it from current work location to another work location?
Yeah, you can still do that. Let me show you really quick. So like,
Does that the question make sense?
yes. So what you're saying is like you are having like you're experimenting with like your personal workspace and say like if it works and if it's like you feel that it's like reusable, then you want to share it with your team. Is that right?
True.
Okay.
You got it right.
So yeah, in that case, I would say like, see, as soon as like you build it out with your local workspace, one thing, there are two ways that you can do this, okay? Either like using this workspace, you can create a folder and give access to your team members in your local orchestrator, like in your personal one. And then like they will have access to the processes that you create. So the ones that you feel like that are good, you can still move it to a different folder. So that way you can control it like using your folders. Does it make sense?
Yeah. I think I'm connecting it with the admin to the users from that
Yes.
point of view.
So you can say
Uh,
like you can name it like in this case I have Explore. So you can just call it like your team name. And then like you can move some of those processes to this folder. And then like you can specify what are the configurations that you want to have and they can still use it. And if they want to have it in their own orchestrator, they can still do it. They can like download their packages because like the second route is like more manual,
mhm,
if that makes
mhm.
sense. So
Okay.
this is the first easy way. The second route would be like you have to find your package. So go to your workspace, go to my packages, and you just have to like, download this package. So in this case, like I would say like view versions, I will select this and like I have to download this package and
Mhm.
then go to your official other orchestrator that you might have, the other account that you said, right? So there you will have to go and upload this back.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's the
There's also a tool, I pasted it for you, that's out free on UiPath Marketplace. It's called Orchestrator Manager,
Mhm,
where
mhm.
you would have to be able to figure out how to run that in Studio. There's instructions out there, but it can also help you transfer everything from one orchestrator to another, where you can choose the particular things that you wanted to move.
Okay. Let me try. Otherwise I'll reach you guys. Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah.
Me and Tracy, like you can find us on forums or LinkedIn. So like you can just reach out to us.
I know a few of them. Vibor is a good friend. So
Perfect. Before Diana, like you can just reach out to any
yeah,
of us.
Diana is always there. All right, please continue.
Okay, yeah. And again, feel free to like ask us any questions that you'd like because these are real world use cases that you're facing on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
And that's what we want to hear. Okay, so this was like a very simple, like, like a very simple use case that is using a UI automation. Now I'll show you like how to use a template. Okay. I think like I closed it earlier. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna pull this up. So I built a simple process using the templates that are given with the Studio X. And while this is opening, I want to show you. I don't think I can show you that. So like, yeah, my system's like really, really slow today. So when I wanted to create this project, what I did was for the very first time, like I went through like all the different templates. So using Studio X is primarily for business users who want to like increase their productivity, right? So like you want to like fasten the process of your day-to-day activities. So there are like certain starter packs available and there are like accelerator packages that say like, oh, we are going to speed, like fast track your day and give you some productivity packages. So if that were to happen, like what are the top 6 things that you do like when you walk into the office, right? Like, so there might be like reports that you need to send out before 9 a.m. or like send out a few emails to kickstart the day. So if there are like certain like routine that you follow, then this might like come in handy for you. So which is where like the templates come in, okay? So when you pull up Studio X for the very first time, here on the right-hand side, you can see like try starting from a template. So if you do not want to build your own process from scratch, you can use the templates, okay? So if you click on like view all templates, this is going to give you like hundreds of templates that are built by UiPath and also the partners or vendors that are like vetted out. So UiPath goes through like a certain screening process. So for instance, this is a community user called Devyani Sharma who actually like posted her use case as a template and which got reviewed by UiPath, and that is now being used as a template. So now you get to choose what is the template that I want to use, and you can search it by specific, like this, the specific official, the official ones, or through the orchestrator, or the ones from the marketplace. Okay, all these are templates that are available for you to use. So in this case, I just picked up one that uses Outlook, and I use Outlook on a daily basis, and like we all use Microsoft Office. So to keep it simple, I'm going to start off with this convert Word file to a PDF. So I have a Word file that's just going to like convert it to a PDF and email it out. So when I clicked on the template, all these activities got created automatically. So I didn't have to do any of this. All of these activities got created. So it created the save for later. The save for later just means that like you're creating a variable where this value gets assigned to this variable, okay? And then here it built out the word scope, the container. And then like all I needed to do was just specify like what's the document that I want to convert. So I created a simple Word document, and that's the one that got assigned. And if it doesn't exist, it's going to create one for me. And it gets created in this path. So the path that we specified up top here. Okay. And then instantly it's going to ask me like, okay, I'm going to email this to you. So like, what's the Outlook configurations that you want to use? So you can specify like which account that you want to send it from. And if you want to send it to like a specific email group, or like if it's like a distribution box, you can still specify all of that. And if you want to add CC and specify the subject, and if you've got like HTML plain text, you can still add all of that. And instantly your email gets sent out. Okay. So I'll just show you what's in my Word doc so that like we can take a quick look. So all I have is like a simple Word document that just says like, that has like simple plain text here that talks all about Studio X. Okay, so we're gonna run this. And as you can see, the Studio X has like 2 ribbons. That's the home and the design. So all we're gonna do is like hit the run button in order to execute it. Okay, and that runs pretty quickly, fairly quickly. And as you can see in the bottom, like you would see that green icon, which means like the robot's actually running. So it pulled up my document, tried to convert it, and it started working. And again, like sometimes it depends on your machine speed. In this case, like I'm running on a virtual machine, so it is a slightly slower version that I've got. So that's why you see this delay. But on a regular basis, if you've got like a good configuration, this is going to run fairly faster. And there are a couple of background processes that are running. So any other questions in the meantime that it finishes up?
So if there is a challenge coming up, Priya, in reading the file or something into the pathway, do you think that the button green, the run button which shows out over here, does it change the color, or it will automatically stop to the point where it says that, hey, it's not running properly, or some kind of note it will show you?
So usually for all these activities, like there are like a default of like 30 seconds of like wait time.
Mhm.
And depending on like the activities that are being configured, it
Mhm.
waits for about 30 seconds trying to figure out what's going on. And if it cannot access, then it will like stop running.
Okay.
So in this case, it was able to send out that email. So it took a while because like my Outlook, like, so just today I was installing my Outlook. So because of that, there's a bit of configuration that was going on in the background.
Okay.
But otherwise, it would have been faster. So it actually emailed me the document and it converted the Word document to the PDF. So in a similar way, you can always choose like what type of templates that you want, and you can select like any of those templates, and all you have to do is just a little bit of configuration here and there in order to customize it for yourself.
Got it.
Yeah, and Ajay, like if you had like, any doubts thinking that like, oh, what's going on with my robot, I would say like just pull up the process that is running and take a look at the output log, like so that like you will know like which step did it go through at last. So
Right,
like
right,
know
right, right.
exactly which activity it's is holding off. And that way, like you can always like stop and troubleshoot and see like which one is going to help you out.
Yeah, normally it will take you to that particular box where the error started occurring, and
Yes,
then you look it and just make sure that what mistakes you have done and then correct it and move on.
exactly.
Yeah. So I have not used it in some time in from last couple of months. That's why my those foolish questions are coming to you. I'm used it regularly a few months back, but it's been a while now. So sorry about that.
No worries. See, no question is a silly question. Like, we want to help you, like, jog your memory. And if this is going to be a refresher, that's perfectly fine. Because, like, we don't want you to, like, lose the taste of Studio X. And, like, we want you to keep coming back and using these.
Right, right, right. No, that's true. That's true.
This is why we do these sessions, just so you know. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, and please tell us, like, so Tracy's posted it that, like, if you have an automation idea that you'd like to create in the future, like, please share, like, what would you like to do? Because, like, with Studio X, like, it has like native integrations to SAP or NetSuite or like any specific, like, desktop applications. So, on a day-to-day basis, what are the challenges that you would normally face that you would like to get it handled with Studio X? Because here again, like your imagination sets your limits here. So like all you have to do is like think of like what are your problem areas that you face on a day-to-day basis that are like holding your productivity back. And if you don't have any questions, I'm going to show you like really quick how to install some packages. So for I told you, right? Like activities that are currently coming with Studio X, there are over 300 activities. But if you want like additional specific application specific activities, you can always go to this manage packages. And if you don't find the activity that you're looking for, you can just look up like the official one or go to the marketplace if you want to get it downloaded. And you can select like any specific activities like SAP or machine learning or any of those activities, and you can just install those specific activities, and then you'll be able to see all of them in your activities panel. And once you are like comfortable and you've tested your process enough, you can always publish your packages. So that way you can see that package as an automation in your assistant as well. Because like your robot is the one that you will be using on a day-to-day basis, so that you don't have to pull up like Studio X to run your automations. So we only use Studio X to primarily like build our automations. And then as an end user, like, on a daily basis, what we want to do is like just hit this publish once. As soon as you publish, you will have your process. Then all you have to do is like look up your process here under automations. And all you have to do is hit the play button. And if you've got any type of configurations that you need to change, you can just change it on your nodes or the assets if you're using any or any arguments as such. So it makes it a lot easier. So you're just looking at just the assistant on an everyday basis and just add them right here. So any questions so far?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you for keeping this live. I mean, like, we want to hear more of like what you do on a, like how would you use it, right? Because we're going to keep sharing like what we know, but like we also want to learn from you. So this has to be like that two-way conversation.
No, of course, you're right. So we are a UiPath partner, we promote UiPath products and services and all that. And I am mostly a person goes out and talk about how UiPath is working out and all those kind of things. So another extension arm of marketing UiPath products, you know. So for me, learning all those orchestrator, how Studio X works, et cetera, so it will be easy in my dialogues and conversations. But I really wanted my team to use them on a daily basis, right? So I learned it, and then there is a gap. That's where my questions were coming to you, and that was your answers were amazingly helpful. So I'm going to rebuild the things which I've done in the past, and I'll start picking up all the sales cases and things like that to make sure that my team can use it on a daily basis. Number one. Number two is that we are also working onto the templates to bring it to UiPath associated with Celonis. So, but current use case is primarily for the sales team at the moment, and I'm also helping a customer into the AI space where we are thinking of using more of the automation, which he's using another product which we wanted to kick it out and bring UiPath in. So that's where we can, I wanted to show him this is so simple for you to work on. So these are a couple of small use cases I'm going to be starting with, so that's the point from my end.
And Ajay, thank you so much
Awesome.
for sharing. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I would say that's awesome. Priya, I was just gonna say while you were talking, there was some dialogue in the chat around some overall guidance on setting up governance for citizen developer programs. And Tracy, I know you've been answering too, but I just wanted to bring awareness to that question and see if there was anything we wanted to share in the chat as well.
So I did want to say regarding that citizen development programs are aimed at giving others that capability to do things for personal productivity. Sometimes folks get the idea that citizen development is going to be how you get your backlog completed of all those automations that for the enterprise that need to be done. And that's really not what citizen development is. You really do need full-time resources that are focused on automation in order to get the list of enterprise things done. In addition to that, some licensing is limited, where definitely if you have an Automation Express license, which generally would be free across the enterprise for everyone, once you have a UiPath enterprise license, those are limited where you can't share the automations outside of your personal productivity environment. So just wanted to draw that distinction that it's fantastic. Love citizen development, love that everyone is being as productive with their own activities at work as they can be. But it's not a substitute for having folks dedicated to more of the enterprise things across departments.
Absolutely. I would echo like Tracy's thoughts exactly. And if you're having to think of like your organization to build your citizen development team, take it slow. So that way, like, like you don't have like a lot of people asking questions. So if you have like a specific COE that can like provide some guidance to these people, that'll be like really, really helpful. Because like if you just let them like just run along with it, like then they'll be like, most organizations sometimes they just die very quickly with their, automation journey just because like people didn't like take the bat and run with it. Like it's just because like they lose that enthusiasm. So you want like somebody at least like providing that initial guidance and like building that curiosity to say like, hey, look at these processes. So just like I would take like Ajay as an example in this case. Like, so Ajay would be like a perfect business user in this case. He's not like a full-time developer, but like for him as a salesperson or like a marketing person, he would take a look at like what are the things that I could automate in myself. So like those are the kind of awareness that your citizen developers also might need. But I would always say like have a COE that provides that internal guidance into like what are your organization's best practices. And Tracy shared that fantastic book about like the guidance as well. So that's like a great place to start.
Thank you. That is super helpful. I appreciate that.
Sure. And any other questions that you guys might have? Okay. I want to show you like really quick, like within like, so let's say like, so Mary, I'm going to take your example. Okay. So let's say you've got like, 50 people as citizen developers running through this, and they've got questions, and you've still got a COE and a person helping them. But if they still want to do this in their personal time, like learn about Studio X, and they have questions, I would still say like go to the forums and post questions over there using the tag as Studio X. So that way, like, whenever, I don't know why I'm logged out, but whenever like you post your question, I would just say like use the tags, because then it helps people know like what product you're talking about. And it's a lot easier for them to get help. So like if there are, because UiPath's platform is very vast right now. So there are like MVPs or like even global users that are like have their expertise in certain products. So if they look at like, oh, it's this product, I know about that, like I can help answer that question. So that makes it a lot easier. So if anybody is like posting questions, they should just like use the tags while they are posting them. In this case, this one shows about like AI Center. And I've used like forum extensively in my initial days. Like when I started off learning about like UiPath, forums was my place to start. And no question is a silly question. I would just ask like, why is my variable not showing up? So, and I would post screenshots, and I've had like a couple of people even like share their workflows to say like, hey, what's wrong with my workflow? Can you help me fix this? And believe it or not, like this global community is like over like 90,000, or I don't know if we've crossed 1 million already. So now like the community has grown so much that there's people across the globe that are sharing their knowledge. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just me facing this problem. Sometimes it helps me like learn from other people's problems, So always keep an eye on the forum. And I would just say like even the release notes that comes out, like anything new that the product is coming up with is also available on the forum. So forums is a great place to like, it's a large knowledge base, I would say. So that's a great place to start. Yeah, and Tracy's sharing her event that's about upcoming on the Citizen Developer event in the South
event.
Florida chapter.
Yeah, past event that has some resources where people can watch. It was Sebastian, actually, another UiPath MVP, that talked about the World Fuel program that they built for several years and had a really successful citizen development program for a long time there.
Yep. So that's a recording that's easily available. And if you just like, would like to be a part of any of these future events, you can just join that chapter. And, like 80% of the time, these events are virtual, so which makes it a lot easier. You don't have to be in person, drive there to be there to listen to the, get that knowledge. It makes it a lot easier for us. And Yeah, so that's about like the demo that we had, and any further questions, please do let us know, and we'll be like a lot happier to answer your questions. And if you guys are interested, just go ahead and like join the community events like America's Virtual as well, where like Diana's hosting like, a lot of the virtual events. And if you still haven't joined the St. Louis chapter, I would say like, join the St. Louis chapter so that like you'll get notified on the future events as well.
Mhm.
Do we have any Atlanta chapter? I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah, AJ, we did have one, but I don't have anybody running it right now. So the best thing to do, because so many things are virtual, is, as Priya mentioned, join a couple of chapters like St. Louis. Tracy has one in Florida, which is close to you, and then the America chapter. And then when we get things more up to date with Atlanta, I'll let you know.
I
Yeah.
remember, Diana, long back, maybe 5 years back at least, there was somebody from UiPath,
Right.
and somehow I got connected with him. Then I called the Cox people to attend that, and we arranged a place, and it happened. And I guess it may happen for once or two times. After that, no communication happened. So I was after Kimberly Joyce last year, and then she talked about, okay, send an email to marketing and all that. So I did that exercise.
Here.
But what happened if it is in Atlanta? It will be more easier for us to go and meet them too.
Okay,
And
so
then
I'm
we can bring our networks to grow UiPath also, footprint at a different level. So it's like a mix match from our side and UiPath side. That was the idea.
Okay, so I just put my email to you in chat. Grab that, and if you send me an email, we'll start working on it.
Okay.
Does that sound
I think I have your email.
okay?
Still I copy it.
Yeah, let's talk.
Sure.
Yeah, who will know, Ajay? Like you might become the chapter leader for
Oh,
That's you may.
I give those
AJ.
responsibility to others. I prefer that. I always ask, do you need something from me? Let me know. I'll take care of that.
And if you guys have
Perfect.
time to join me in the Houston chapter as well, and like, even though that we are all spread out, like we want to like contribute to each other. And like, again, like there's no boundaries to learning here, which
Oh, yeah,
makes
yeah, of
it a
course,
lot
of
easier
course.
for us. So I would love to like, that's why like I pretty much joined Tracy on like all the Florida chapters events. The only thing that I miss is the time zone difference. And that just gets me every time. But
Thanks
apart
to
from
Well, Priya, St.
www.
Louis is same time zone, so you can join us now.
yes, perfect. Absolutely,
Wonderful.
yeah. And thank you so much for having me and Tracy. I mean, like, thanks Tracy for inviting me as well. So it was really nice, like sharing this knowledge and like, having a refresher, because every time we talk about these products, like it's also a refresher for us, because there are like new features that comes out, and sometimes like when I open it and I'm like, what is this? And then I start learning about it. So it's not like, being an MVP, it's we've got the expertise, but like we are also like learning in this journey. So which helps us like every time we do one of these sessions, it really like, it's a refresher course.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah, and
learning is always a good path.
yeah. Make sure that you guys, before you leave, put any topics that you're interested in us going through in the chat. I think somebody put that in there, but if there's something you even want to learn more about Studio or Studio X, or just don't hesitate to ask, because that's the way we really get, you guys what you need. So, Priya and Tracy, I just want to thank you for speaking today, and thank you all for coming. Katie and David, it's great seeing you guys and getting these great topics in your chapter. So, yeah, if there's any other questions, please let us know.
Agreed. Thank you to our speakers, and thank you for the folks that attended, especially I heard someone put in the chat they're calling in all the way from Nigeria, and I looked it up and it's 11 p.m. there almost. So thank you for joining
Yeah,
us.
that's awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Priya. Awesome. Tracy, awesome. Diana, thank you so very much, as always. We have not seen each other on the web, but we know each other from quite some time.
Yes, we
So
do. Yeah,
good to see you.
you too.
And thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
all.
you. Bye.
Bye for now.